Welcome. I'm live. Everything's there. Alrighty. I'm in my new spot here. Yeah. Don't know how long I'm going to be. And I've already had it's been a hell of a day. That's all I'm gonna say. I've been blessed, and then things come with an ebb and a flow. But it has. Hey Erica, hey Charlene, thank you for joining me. Happy Friday. First of all, I've already had a glass of wine, so I don't want to spend too already poured my second glass of wine. Um, it's been a hell of a day. I woke up this morning and I knew the moon was going into Leo. And so I knew some passion and fire was going there. And uh Venus has gone into Libra, and then of course that square with Uranus and Mercury. And I mentioned yesterday that this weekend would be, quite a hectic kind of weekend, And but I woke up very weepy, and in my weepiness, I wrote and I put it on my Facebook wall. But I was writing about endings and things about it, and I hadn't looked at any of my messages yet. I hadn't looked at any of the news yet, and I was talking about endings and how things end and how we're very fearful as humans. We're very fearful of endings, right? We're very fearful of how things can end. Either whether it's a job, whether it's a relationship, to let go of possessions, right? I mean, we don't want to do that, or death, and that's the other one. And this morning when I woke and I was just feeling very like overwhelmed, and I'm just like, "Oh my god, this is like I was crying." And I can be an emotional person, but not an overly emotional person per se. And then I got the news that Johnny Goudreau died. And if you don't know who he is, he's a hockey player. And I thought, "Oh my god." And he's like 31. He's a year younger than my number two son, Eddie. And I'm just like, "Oh, he played hockey here in Calgary." And my son knew him because they kind of, when in the off season, the team that Eddie plays for, some of the hockey players go there and they play and stuff like that, and the boys and hanging out. So heard stories and stuff like that about, you know, um, you know, Mr. Hockey. And so it kind of hit me, and I thought, wow, I said, this is usually, but things like that don't normally hit me. And I said, it's just sad. It's just a horrific story. I mean, being killed by a drunk driver just before his sister's wedding, him and his brother, is just like, oh, the tragedy of it all. And I think it really brought to heart about thinking about my own son, and how things can happen in an instant, right? And you lose your children. So I was very upset. And then I went onto Facebook, and there was two notifications, and I thought, "Oh, Tanya notified me," which is, I haven't heard from Tanya for a bit. And Tanya's a good friend of mine that lives in the States. And she told me about a mutual friend that we have that lived there that died last night of a heart attack. And I went, "Oh, that's it." And I got to say, the tears were pouring. The tears, if I think about it for too long right now, they do overwhelm me. Or, whew, if I think about Johnny, um, and I think it's because, and this the death rate, or the amount of death that I've seen in the last 48 hours has been like, I mean, I know things are fucking crazy, but it's been ridiculous. Another, good friend of mine whose friend um son OD'd. I've had another friend who's really a friend of theirs who was close, died. And I've had a few other clients. this afternoon messaged me about death in their family. And I'm just like, whoa, what a heavy, heavy weekend, And I had to take some time and, look at what I wrote and thinking about death. And one of the things about when you being a medium and seeing dead people and being a person who's worked around death quite a bit um, in my life, it was something that I sort of had to sort of look at in the state of how our world is going. Now, one of the decisions I did make a little while ago, and I did this personally, and I said to myself, I said, um, in one of my prayers, and I just felt it was right that I didn't want to do too much mediumship going forward. And one of the big reasons I didn't want to do it was because of death and the amount of death that is coming forward and the amount of death that is being seen. My children have gone to more funerals than I have personally. My children have seen more death, and I'm just like, wow, these guys aren't even, my two youngest aren't even 30 yet. And they've witnessed, either death through suicide or accidental or heart attack. Like just the thought of under 30 and heart attack. And then my daughter came and told me that one of her good friends is going through um a biopsy, and I'm just like, a biopsy, what kind of biopsy is she going through? And I'm thinking, it might be something vaginal or something like that, which is quite common for a girl, under the age of 30. She goes, no, it's for breast cancer. And I'm like, what the fuck? Breast cancer? Like, she's 25. And I just like, they I guess the lumps in her breasts are growing rapidly, right? And I was just like, wow. Wow. Now some of this you can, with a lot of the deaths, you can put it up to the elixir. I know the one with my friend who passed away last night from a heart attack. I know it wasn't that because she was a very strong advocate against it. And living in Arizona, she was a hardcore ball busting girl and rode a Harley, worked hard for what she had, and was planning her wedding for the new year. It was, totally devastating. And even thinking about it now is just really devastating to think about. And her whole family and her grandbabies and the whole bit, so it's very hard. But I'm thinking, as I was sitting here, of loss and that of loss. And then I was watching a show, and his name is Jacob, and he's a pagan, and he talks a lot about Odin and different rituals and things like that. Anyways, he was talking about the fates and how the fates can come in. And if you've ever watched any Disney shows with Hercules, Hercules and the fates, and you have the three ones, the past, present, and future. They come in, and the three fates can come in at any time. And your life is a correlation of decisions that bring you to certain fated decisions, whatever they may be. And it comes down to your decision and how you interpret that act and how you embrace it. And there's many ways that you can embrace those fated decisions, whether it's through a loss of a loved one, whether it's through the loss of possessions, whether it's a house, a car, um, you know, uh, it could be a loss of a job or a loss of a friendship, a loss, within a relationship or a car accident or whatever, fated decisions come in. but it's how you step in and deal with it is so important. And I feel, when you have, and I'm going to bring in the astrology with Saturn. Saturn is the lord of time. He's a timekeeper, but he's also the one who wants us to look at things and really create a positive world for ourselves, to step into the positiveness of our world. And how are we going to organize that in a way that can be cohesive, maybe that's not the word, but where it can come into an alignment for ourselves so things run a little bit smoother. We all know what it feels like once, you wash your house. You go through and you clean your house and you clean everything up, and it just feels or you straighten your desk out after, I'm looking at my desk over there. I'm just like, oh my God. Once you straighten it or change the tablecloth or whatever it is, it just feels so different. It's like, wow, it's organized. I feel more inspired to do things. And I feel like that's part of what Satan does, or not Satan, but Saturn does. Saturn comes in with this and wants to create some organization. Now, as Pluto goes in back into Capricorn, and I could see a lot of things happening on the world front, and I'm just, shaking my head of what Pluto and Capricorn is going to bring forth. And it is going to bring forth a lot of fated decisions that have been made of what has brought things to that point. And it is one that, how are you going to deal with the fated decisions that are coming forth down the hoop for us all, or for you individually? And this is, some of them are going to be, I'm going to say, difficult in how you embrace them and partake in them. Some of them are going to be where, this is a change in lifestyle, a change in the way that we do things, right? Um, I don't want to make your Fridays a heavy Friday and a crazy Friday with all of this. I really don't. I really, my main thing is through it all, like, for me, in handling a lot of the things that I have in my life, it comes down to my faith, comes down to God, comes down to my connections with God and the divine, however you want to call it, and how we can take the dance with nature and connecting with nature. Nature is such a beautiful way of dealing with things, because you can go and you can ground and you can really reconnect with oneself. And I feel that's really what gets me through this, and really helps me to understand a world that is in chaos. It helps me to understand, and even within my own upbringing, the one of the things that we always said, we had a prayer at before we had our meals, and it's like, name of the Father, Son. Blessed are Lord, and these are gifts which we are about to receive from thy bounty through Christ our Lord. Amen. This last part. May the souls of the faithful departed in the mercy of God rest in peace. Amen. We prayed for the dead every night, every day. Like, and I didn't really, as a kid, you don't think about it. You just ramble a prayer off and let me eat kind of thing. you know, but I think that's very I think that's very important for us to start to really look at and start to pray for the souls of the faithful departed, and really send blessings out to all the souls that are departing this world at this time, because there's going to be a lot more souls that are going to be departing. And as I said before, one of the, not wanting to do so much mediumship, and one of the main reasons is because of the death, the amount of death toll. And I don't think a lot of mediums really realize this, the amount of death that is coming into this world is is a lot. It's more than what we've ever seen before in our lifetime. And when you start to witness more death than life, it can be very difficult. So this is why it's very important to pray for those souls and to pray for everything that you have and the life that you have, and bless everything that you have with love and light, and bringing forth the light into everything that you do. Hopefully, I'm making sense in all of this, because I didn't want it to come in to be a Friday evening heavy and crazy. You know, the news source is heavy. The news source is heavy. The shit that's going down in the world right now, um, is crazy. And I think by Monday, which is the new moon, the new moon is on Monday. So um, that's pretty crazy, and that's going to usher in a huge change within the world around us, this new moon. And as we're going towards, and then after that, we'll be going towards a partial eclipse. So we are ushering in n- a new world that needs to have a lot of tenderness, a lot of care, a lot of understanding, and we'll have to be patient with this all, because it's going to be pretty heavy with this and with the energies that are coming in. Um, Lexi is saying it's good to know we're not alone with these feelings. Oh, blessings, Lexi. Yeah, it's it is important. We have craziness happening in the Middle East. It's rising. We have things, going into the Black Sea right now. So a lot of things are being hyped and heightened. We're entering into a time where the weather's changing, and a lot of people are going to be concerned about heating and things along that line. I can see them ushering in a universal pay, which is, I know, so a few years ago, this one guy was saying, "Oh God, I can hardly wait till they do the universal pay," and I was just like, Why?" He goes, "Well, when I'm not doing my," because he was on call. I think he worked for an airline, and he goes, "I'm on call, and I don't always get, um a lot, sometimes I got a long period in between." And and I say, and then I said to him, "Well, what about your side hustles? What about this? What about that? I mean, you got a website, you're selling all of these things, and you're doing, you know, all of these promotions and stuff like that." I said, "Isn't," he goes, "Yeah, it's fine, but I still would love to have it that the government pays me extra money each month." And I kind of, I didn't say anything more after that, but I really had, shake my head, because a lot of people don't understand what that's all about and what that means. When the government's giving you money, that means the government means that you have to jump through these holes and these hoops in order to get what what you're asking for. So that means if they tell you not to protest, you can't protest. If they tell you that you can't um you can't buy that bottle of wine, you can't buy that bottle of wine. If they tell you that's not where we want you to be on Fridays, then you can't be at that place on Fridays. They can tell you that, "Oh no, this place of worship is no longer there, and that this is the way that we're going to be having you do this." So there's, when the hands go over to the government, this is where things start going crazy. And one of the, craziness and the things that are unfolding, um this is where the prayers have to come in. This is where we have to shine the light. And sometimes, waking up in the morning and being so weepy is because you're going to be feeling a lot of the people who have passed away, who've gone to the other side, and that's a heavy, heavy feeling to have. um And I can see why my grandmother didn't do tea leaves reading during World War One or World War Two. And that was because every time she looked into the cup, and tea leaf readings are a whole nother level when you're doing readings, because everything comes up to you in 3D, and you see things. Sometimes you can see, the actions of things that are going on within that cup. It's totally amazing when you're doing them. And but when you're seeing death all the time, it can be very difficult in doing readings and things. So I'm not saying I'm not going to do the mediumship readings. I mean, the mediumship will come in. I can feel Jen. I know Jen's very much around her family tonight, and especially her fiance and all her little grandbabies. Um, she's got one little sassy one that I think she's going to miss her Mima a whole lot. That's for sure. Um, but the blessings there. So, on that note, to let you all know, I do have my summer sale. It's going to be the last sale I probably will have in quite some time, because I am starting a full time job as of, I believe, Tuesday. And because I've signed all the papers and everything else. So I start a full time job as of Tuesday. So I'll be working two jobs. At Acadia, I'll be working there in the evenings. And then she was in her, I can't, I think she was in her late 40s, to my understanding, I think. Um, so she could have been, because she had grandkids. And so I'm not too sure exactly how old she was. I don't know. I might have her chart. I don't think I have a chart. So, um, I was thinking that, the other part too is heart attack in women over the age of 40 is a huge health risk. A lot of women have heart attacks over the age of 40, and that has to do with menopause, and, you know, the change of life comes forth in that as well. So, just to be careful. The other thing, and the other part too is, oh, right. Oh, that's the other thing that I did was there's a missing person, and um, so I was asked to help to find this missing person, and I don't like doing that either. I don't like finding missing people, because they're usually dead, you know, and that's really harsh. That's really harsh. So, I don't like doing that. I don't like doing a lot of that. I'm a Scorpio, and you'd think that I'd be okay with death a little bit more, but not when you're seeing how the people die and you can feel it and stuff like that. It's a whole different kettle of fish. Um, Lost my thought. Anyways, I got a full-time job. So I'll have a full-time job as an assistant manager to a company called Manitoba Moccasins. And Manitoba Moccasins is based out of Manitoba, and yes, they do moccasins. It is an indigenous company started by a young man who is Métis, and giving back to giving back to the community. So, great online presence they have. So, they have a very beautiful, uh, what do you call it, for their company, of how they like to run their company. It's very spiritual based in many ways. So I'll be doing that. I'll be working at Chinook Mall, which is a crazy mall in Calgary here. So I'll be filming some things from there. Give you some of the 411 of the cray cray of Chinook Mall, that's for sure, because that's a vortex. That's a fucking vortex. It's actually built on burial sites, right? So, anyways, so I have that, and and then I'll be working at the haunted rec center. So I'm not getting away from the dead, that's for sure. Because when I work at the recreational center, there's a young girl. I think she's 10, maybe, yeah, a young girl who used to love hockey, and she died of cancer. And she's always there. She's always at the rink. That was her rink. She loves the rink. She loves hockey season, and she thinks ringette is lame. She's funny. So she's just really a cutie. I think I did a video on that before, but there's a lot of, and then there's the old man that walks around the building too. And so it's quite an interesting place to work. I mean, some of the stories too are kind of crazy as well, that other employees have had, of things that have happened in the rec center. So I'll be working there 3 nights a week. So I'll be doing the two jobs. Um, so pray for me to give me the strength to go to do this all, because it's just to help for Steve and I to get ahead, right? And move ahead. So um, that's really important over the next little while. The Manitoba Moccasins is a contract until the end of February, and it's all to do with how well they do in the mall um, over the next several months. So, and if they do well, then they'll continue on and stay there. And I'm across from Louis Vuitton store in the mall. So that's pretty cool, because you got to look into the history of Louis Vuitton. Louis Vuitton's really cool history. Um and into that family. Anyways, cuz anyways. So I'm in sort of the very very nice area of the mall. Christmas stalls are coming in now. Yeah, the Christmas stalls will be coming in. So it'll be interesting. It'll be nice to be in there for the Christmas season, with the hustle and bustle and everything else. I'm embracing this with a lot of positivity and openness, and it was a blessing, because I was tired of applying for jobs, and I said, show me a job, like show me a job, like something come, I don't know, somebody will hire me that I know. Anyways, it came. I opened. I grabbed my phone, and it was I think after 9 o'clock, and I try not to look at my phone unless I absolutely have to after 9. Anyways, and I looked on Facebook, which was really weird. Um, and there it was. And the person who is my boss is I've worked with her before. Her name is Andrea, and she um, owned the witchy shop that I was reading from here in Calgary when that pandemic started and things like that. So I was there with that. So we all have Manitoba moccasins, and we love ours. Oh, awesome. That's good to know. That's really good to know. So this is going to be fun. I'm quite excited um, about the new adventure that I'm starting. So out of something crazy and frustrating and overwhelming came something very beautiful, through this all. And I will have to say, today I was just gutted, and it was a very difficult day. It's still difficult. So I'm going to go watch Couples Retreat. I see that up on the TV. So I'm going to go watch Couples Retreat and finish my glass of wine, and then probably, I know it's only 6:30, but I think after that, just probably chill and maybe probably go to bed, wash up and go to bed, because yeah, when something like this happens, you just become very tired, physically tired with this all. So anyways, thank you guys for joining me. And if you let your friends and family know about the summer sale that I have. As I say, I probably won't have another sale maybe not until next year. We'll see, because I'll be busy working, but I will be able to do the moon readings. Will still be coming out, and I will still be able to, however I do it, you'll get your readings. So it will work around it in some way. So sending you guys out so much blessings. May the Lord and Lady watch over and bless each and every one of you. Pray for the souls of the faithful departed in the mercy of God. Rest in peace. Amen. Pray for the souls of the departed today. Blessed be everybody. Thank you for joining me and being a part of my community. Bye.